Hello everyone and welcome to Walford Weekly, your EastEnders podcast, where we will be reviewing the episodes that were broadcast on the BBC between the 24th and the 28th of May. My name is Alex and I am joined yet again by my cohort, Rob. Hello Rob.
Hello Alex, how are you today?
I'm very well. It's nice to see your face, I must say.
Nice to see your face
look at
too.
You.
I know, look at you. You're not just a disembodied voice in my life anymore.
Anyone who's watching this on the YouTube channel may have noticed that we are moving. We're an actual video and we're making two special video episodes, the one that you're watching right now and the Walford Weekly Awards, which will be out later this week. And it's to celebrate that we are launching our Patreon channel. Isn't that right, Rob?
This is indeed. Yes, if you go to patreon.com/WalfordWeekly, did I get that right? You will be able to find details of how you can assist us.
Yes, all the details are on there. Shows you how you can become a patron with us and also the kind of perks you would get if you do join us. And, you know, every little helps and we'd like to continue making these video podcasts and like to do a lot more too. So if you want to just chuck a bit of change our way, we would be very, very grateful. But we're not putting anything behind a paywall that we already have for free. So don't worry, the podcast and the spoiler casts and the videos we release on YouTube will still be coming out as usual. Right, that's the housekeeping finished with. I think we need to delve straight in, Rob, because we have lots and lots to talk about. And I know you're very excited to talk about the very first subject, which is that dart match in the Vic on Friday.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so, let's go straight to the start. A quicker than I expected return for old Terry this week. I didn't think he's going to be back just yet. The Rocky returns. And I think it's fair to say that Sonia is maybe as surprised to see him as we are.
Yeah, Terry came back upon Keegan's request, wasn't it? Keegan kind of suggested to Sonia that perhaps she gets back in touch with Terry. And Sonia did lay some ground rules, didn't she? She pretty much was very specific with what Terry was allowed to talk about around her company, which is basically no boasting, no showing off. Just be yourself. Just be Terry. Don't be Rocky. Be Terry.
As you know, as any ground rules should always be. Don't you be Rocky either, Alex. Yes, and I think it's fair to say that I think Sonia's slowly sort of softening towards him now. Their relationship is slowly starting to get off the ground a little bit more. He is still sort of like, he seems to have all these stories to tell for a start, doesn't he? Of how he's met all these celebrities, like he's met Eric Bristow and all of this sort of thing. So I'm unsure as to how true any of this actually is, but you know, that's another matter altogether. But yeah, the shot that we all want to talk about, let's be honest, is by the end of the week they are having, well, him and Patrick have now started to form a bit of a relationship, which is nice to see. Mates with Patrick, that's nice.
Yeah.
And Patrick and him are playing a little dart match, you know, like the manly men they are. And it culminates in him going to Sonia, go on then, you take this shot. Take this shot for your old dad. Go on, girl. And Sonia does, in slow motion.
Because Sonia was on the Walford Queen Vic darts team, which I had completely forgotten about.
Yes,
with Sharon, they were all wearing their pink lady jackets, weren't they? All pink, and you know they had their logo on the back. I had completely so that made Sonia somewhat of a professional, I understand. Also, we're meant to believe, and that's where the Bristow link came out as well, because obviously Terry, he was almost professional. I think he said at one point. You know, another story that he spun. Yeah. So, and as you say, then the slow motion scene happened. I mean, are they trolling us now, Rob? They must be trolling us.
They definitely are. There was no other reason for that, as opposed to we're just going to stick that in for Walford Weekly. No other reason why that should have happened at all. Ridiculous. Like, it was literally... Yeah, it has to be. They were literally just throwing a dart in slow motion. That's all she was doing. There was no drama behind it. There was no, it wasn't a dramatic scene. There was no I don't know what it was supposed to be. It was just like I don't know if it was supposed to like illuminate how concentrated Sonia was being, how she had the rush of the pink ladies rushing through her veins all of a sudden as though she'd gone back in time, years, or anything like that. But yeah, we got up there with not quite as bad as Denise slowing the whole time around her down, but it was a sort of time wave, maybe an after ripple of Denise. But it resulted in a slow mo shot of this. Yeah, it happened. A slow mo shot of this dart going straight into the centre of the board.
Oh yeah, because she got a bullseye, didn't she? Which is obviously.
Yes.
Sorry, a bullseye is always the sign that you are very good at playing darts. You know, not a treble 20. Yes. Oh no, straight to the ball.
The other thing we should probably talk about with regards to Terry is this cough that he suddenly got halfway through when they were talking.
Yes, which Sonia spotted.
Interesting. So the question automatically is Terry dying?
Yeah, is that the reason why Terry has returned? Is there's so many theories being thrown out, which I must admit I do love. I love reading all these theories that are coming up on Twitter, on all the social media. Is Terry really Sonia's dad? Is Terry dying? Has Terry returned because he needs like a lung or something like that, and Sonia's the only one who can give it to him? You know, there's so many different things that are coming out. So it has made Terry an instantly very appealable character. And also Brian Connolly has also... I'm hooked onto Brian Connolly, to be honest with you. I actually am enjoying his portrayal of him, which... as I said last week, surprises me, but I'm very pleased to be surprised by it. But yeah, it was such a weird thing to kind of... And it was one of those current era things where they've just dropped it in, quickly moved on, and then something else happened. So, we didn't have much Terry and Sonia this week, but we did have alluded to a very troubling illness, perhaps, what Terry has. Have you got any theories to link to it?
Yeah, there is every possibility that he's just heard the stories of Sonia, the professional hero, thinking that, right, this girl's got a biro pen and she's not afraid to use it, so maybe we'll return of Sonia's biro maybe there at some point this week. Yeah, she saw what he was like with the dart. Maybe she could do it with any sharp object. That is a point, though, to be fair.
Stab a biro in him.
If they had those darts to hand when she was having to give Ben that tracheotomy or whatever the hell it was, why didn't she use the dart pin instead of a pen? Is there something specific about a pen that you need to do to cut into someone's throat? Anyway, is it COVID? Can you imagine if I actually decide to give someone on the square COVID now? That would be interesting. Interesting timing.
Well, hence why he's probably friendly with Patrick, maybe, because Patrick has had COVID, the only one on the square who has linked to it. So maybe that's why they're friends.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it could be anything really, couldn't it? There's several things that can give you a heavy cough that literally causes you to stop what you're doing and suddenly start hacking yourself, so who knows what. But yeah, the indication to us, I think, seems to be that Terry is probably got to be gone by the end of the year in all ways. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, I hope not. I really do hope not, because actually, like I say, I was very surprised how much I'm quite keen on Terry, so I would like him to hang around for maybe, I don't know, if he's only been on it for 2 weeks, for me to then say I want him to be on there for 10 years like Jake Wood. It's a silly thing to throw, but yeah, theories are being thrown. No one really knows what's right and what's wrong, and so I guess we'll find out in time. Sticking in the Vic, though, as we are going upstairs this time with the Carters, and that lovely conversation between Shirley and Frankie this week, which I again really enjoyed, right at the beginning of the week, where Shirley and Frankie had a chat about Frankie's mum, Katie, and how she actually understood why Frankie stood by her mum and was being supportive to her and encouraging her to visit her in prison when Frankie was a bit worried when she was reading the newspaper articles about her mum and what other people in the prison might think of her. I thought that was a good moment, and it was nice to see Shirley softened, because she's been so hard recently.
Yeah, it was really nice to see. I think that moment between her and Frankie was needed. Because otherwise we were literally just going to have Shirley sucking on a lemon for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it seems like the rest of the Carters have kind of been starting to move on from what's been happening with the Katie stuff. So the conversation between Shirley and Frankie was needed. But yeah, it was really sweet. And it was nice because presumably we didn't see any conversation that happened between Frankie and Katie, but presumably Frankie went to go and see Katie in prison, and seems to still have some kind of level of affection for her mum. There's not been a sense that I thought that it was going to sort of go in the direction of, right, well, she's been sent to prison. That's enough for me. Clearly, my mum's a complete nut, a complete monster. I want nothing more to do with her. But it would seem that Frankie is intending to sort of stay in contact with her mum and visit her in prison for the next 10 years. So, we'll see very quickly, I think, how quickly Frankie forgets about her. You know, whether she mentions her very much over the next 10 years. You know, oh, I'm just going to go visit my mum. Yeah, no, bye. See you later. So, yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, no, I think it's nice. It feels like they've kind of just drawn a line under it all now. And we're now into just brand new Carter territory. And well, when they decide to put the spotlight straight back on the Carters, we'll be seeing what's been going on with Nancy. And maybe focusing a bit more on her fit. But I don't think Nancy was really in it all that much this week. So, we'll see.
Not really, no. Nancy had the scene, which we'll talk about a bit later on, because there's a lot to talk about with the opening of the actual proper launch of the gym and Kheerat and all the Panasars as well. I think you're right by you saying that their line has now been drawn with that story. I think they'll touch on it now and then, but I just thought it was so lovely to have that moment between Shirley and Frankie, because I think Shirley, funnily enough, really has made an effort with Frankie by introducing her to the family, which is a bit surprising considering Shirley can be very cold with new people who join, like the family unit or even, or anyone, to be fair. And the fact that she's making a real effort with Frankie, I think shows her compassionate side and the side that perhaps Mick loves about his mum. So, yeah. Very, very good. I thought it was just worth mentioning, though, because obviously, as I say, that kind of completed the story. The arc is finished, but maybe we'll hear more about it a bit later on. Now, a very serious story then this week, which was us discovering that Mila's sister Kioni is basically in a lot of trouble, really, because she is having a procedure known as FGM, which is female genital mutilation. Very heavy story, very never been ever done on a soap before, and I don't think it's been touched very much in the landscape of any kind of media, television or film or anything like that. So very interesting that they decided to give this story a go. Kathy is introduced too, which is good because that gives it a bit of old school story, a character to it. Someone who would be very supportive in this kind of situation too, which I did appreciate. I liked that they didn't kind of just make it a story of its own. It's kind of integrating lots of different characters involved too, because also this week, Iqra found out about it too, with a beautiful scene in Walford East when they're sat on the kitchen floor and they're discussing it between each other. I mean, what are your thoughts that, first of all, that they're tackling such a hard story?
I mean, I was stunned. I really was. Like, the thing is with EastEnders, what tends to happen quite a lot is that a few of the fans will sort of have conversations of like, oh, so there's an issue-based storyline coming up, and they'll throw out a list of really heavy topics that you can kind of go down the list and go, yeah, no soap's going to do that, no soap's going to do that, no. And I have to admit that I've seen FGM theories going around and all of this sort of thing, and genuinely thought that it was just going to be one of those topics that a soap would never tackle, because it is an extremely heavy topic to take on. And it's going to require, I mean, even from our perspective, if we're going to be talking about it, it's going to require us to sort of read up on it and make sure that we know what we're talking about. So that's just us doing a podcast about it. So for the soaps to be tackling this is huge. It's a huge story, and I've got to be honest. This first week so far, it seems to be being dealt with extremely sensitively, very well, and obviously, the acting so far has been absolutely top notch. I mean, for Mila to be immediately given this really, really huge, heavy story is, I think, testament to how well the actress is doing with the role. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The scene between her and Iqra in the restaurant was perfect. It was really nice, really sensitive. I mean, I think that we had assumed up to that point that her and Iqra had slept together. So I think it was a bit of a surprise to sort of discover, oh wait, you haven't done that whatsoever. Okay, that's interesting. And we sort of discover along with Iqra why that is this week. So the mum has, I mean, there's quite a lot to unpick with the story this week. Mila tells Kathy exactly what has been going on with her mum and explains it all. And Kathy spends the majority of the week trying to persuade Mila to go to the police and to get her to, because her sister is basically being taken abroad to have this procedure done to her. And we sort of learn along with Iqra with Mila what happened to her, and the how she's blocked it out of her memory, but knows that it hurts. Knows that, I mean, they weren't shying away from anything really, were they? Like talking about how she gets infected and all of this sort of thing. So, but yeah, heavy stuff. Go on.
No, they were very graphic actually with how they described how Mila had it done. I mean, I shan't repeat it. Just because some people may not want to hear it again or for whatever reasons. But yeah, as you say, they didn't shy away from it, which actually, as a viewer, I appreciated it. It was done on the Friday episode, which is the later episode, which is about 8:30. So I think that perhaps was consciously done that way, because then again, maybe some people may not have wanted to listen to it quite so any earlier than maybe the 9 o'clock watershed, if there is such a thing as a watershed anymore, but in that respect. I mean, I went in knowing nothing. I've done a little bit of reading up on it. It is awful. I found out that it only became illegal in the UK in the early 2000s, which completely baffled and shocked me. But just mad. As you say, she was taken away. They kept using the term aunties, which I believe is again quite a common thing. They have like someone who would go and visit an auntie, and that auntie would then perform the FGM, the procedure. Yeah, it's just absolutely horrifying that a practice like that happens today. And as you say, performed perfectly by the actress who plays Mila. The scene with her and Iqra, the scene with her and Kathy, I thought was fantastic. Kathy goes straight to her, number one, I'm going to go to the police, because she loves reporting to police to anyone who's a little bit, anything that's a little bit different.
Got them on speed dial, yeah.
She does, but on this instance, I agree with her. It needed reporting. I mean, what's going to happen then with Kioni? Do you think what is the outcome with this? Because obviously it amazed me how Mila was still a bit like the Katie and Frankie story. Mila was still defending her mum. She said, at the end of the day, she's still my mother, and I can't report her to the police because she's family. So what happens with Mila and Kioni now?
I mean, I think we're sort of left in sort of hanging as to whether she's able to stop the procedure from happening. Presumably, that's going to be what they're going to be tackling next week, because. But essentially, it seems that the procedure is now being rushed forwards, and maybe the mum has sort of cottoned on to the fact that Mila is trying to stop this from happening, so is rushing. So is basically making sure that it happens rather than Mila getting involved. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think we've got a long road ahead with this. I mean, I have to say, fair play to EastEnders for tackling this. I did see, a few comments online immediately sort of dismissing that they were going to do this properly, that they were just going to sort of do it lip service and all that sort of thing. And I have got to be honest, I'm going to hold my hands up now and say, do you know what? We're fans of the show, all right? We wouldn't be doing a podcast on it if we didn't care about the show, if we didn't like the show, and frankly, if we didn't trust the show. And for an issue like this, I think we've just got to put all that aside. If we're proved wrong, then fair play, and that's a completely different conversation. But I think right now we've got to sit and just trust that they're going to do it right. Because with something like this, you can't not do it right. So I think we're just going to have to just wait and see what we're given. But I personally have complete confidence in the show that they're going to do this the justice that it deserves. Because they've already, if the scenes on Friday's episode were anything to go by, that's what we're going to get. So I think we've just got to accept it.
I mean, we joke and at the beginning of the show, we joke about special effects and like slow motion and so on and so forth. But I think when it comes to the nitty gritty, comes to the main bolts and nuts and bolts of the show, EastEnders still have a very proven record of getting things right. Let's look back at the Frankie and Katie and Mick storyline. I mean, we were all a bit worried about that, and how wrong we were to be worried. And I think on the strength of that and many other storylines, that they are, when they're not silly little storylines when someone's getting knocked on the back of the head with the radio because they're trying to run away from the police or hide in an attic, let's be honest with you, that's not an issue base. That's just stock EastEnders fare with something like this. And we've discussed this on the show as well, that a lot of soaps now tend to be going for much more issue-based stories, and EastEnders isn't the only one that seems to be doing that. There's lots and lots and lots out there happening right now. I think EastEnders are the ones who tend to do it fairly well. And I saw the comments on social media, and I personally, especially from the strength of Monday and Tuesday's episode, where there was only a couple of bits and pieces on them 2 episodes, and then they carried on from Thursday and Friday. Yeah, I think it's being, but then I 100% believe that it's being performed so well by the actresses that are involved. And can I also just bring up also that, did you notice this week on EastEnders there was a lot of BAME actors this week? It was very much black and ethnic minorities. It was a very much it felt like a show where that was happening a lot more, and I appreciated that too.
I mean, I've got to be honest, actually I didn't notice it, which I think in a lot of ways actually, but
that's probably a good thing though, to be fair.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think anyone could accuse EastEnders of underrepresenting anybody, especially in this era. I think it's been an era of sort of letting the underrepresented sort of take their time in the spotlight. It seems something that they seem to be really focusing on, as sort of society seems to be at the minute. It's the whole thing is a big discussion point at the minute. So I know what you mean, but it's nice to feel that the thing is, all of these are characters that we've gotten to know anyway. So if it feels like their time in the spotlight, I mean, I've got to be honest with. Well, we say about Iqra quite a lot. It's like, she's got a story at the moment, and yet I felt that we've got more development out of Mila in the past 2 weeks than we've had on Iqra for quite a lot of her time on the square. But I think this is actually starting to be a bit of a turning point for Iqra. We're really starting to get to know her, and her role in this storyline, I think, will really sort of cement her place in the square and actually give her more of a purpose as a character, and we'll start to see some more intricacies about her as a character as well.
I like I say, I look forward to this story developing and to learn more about it, do my own research as well as seeing it on screen, and I actually encourage it to be uncomfortable as a viewer too, because I think it sticks. It's more of a sticking point when it's more uncomfortable as a viewer to see, hear, watch all this unfold before us. So yeah, for sure, very brave.
Well done.
I hope it's a very good story to look into, and be interesting to see more of it. Right, Rob. Now, something I'm not particularly looking forward to now is your game, because I'm a little bit frightened from what I've heard. But if you'd like to introduce it.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Answer Trap. Now then, Alex, this is Answer Trap. Now, I have to say, I have become a little bit obsessed. You know me, I like a TV quiz. I like a TV game show. And I've become rather obsessed with a brand new one that started on Channel 4 recently called Answer Trap. And basically the idea is I'm going to give you a set of answers and give you 2 categories, and all you have to do, simple Alex, it's really easy, all you have to do is put the answers into the correct categories. There's only 2 to choose from. It's easy. However, there are some answer traps in there, and if you find 2 of them, then you're out. You're at. But you're an EastEnders fan. You're not going to be at.
So I
claim. Exactly what you're doing. Yeah. So, if all going well, you should be seeing this on the screen now, listeners. These are the answers to the quiz. And Alex, you may now look at the screen. So, as you can see, there are some names there. I would like you to sort these answers into EastEnders characters and to executive producers for EastEnders. I will just read out the names for anybody that can't see them at the moment. We have Dominic Treadwell-Collins, Marie Evans, Natalie Mitchell, Irene Raymond, Brian Kirkwood, Donna Yates, Corinne Hollingworth, Lorraine Newman, Ian MacLeod, Morgan Butcher, Steve Thompson, and John York. Okay? So all I need you to do is sort them into the 2 categories. Now, There are some answer traps in there which are not applicable to either category. Okay, 2 of them, Alex. Rat.
Mm-hmm. And there's only 2 in the thing, so if I spot both of them, I'm out.
A rat. Yes. There's at least 2 answer traps.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I'm excited, actually. I okay, yeah, good. Shall I start?
Yes, you may start. Off you go.
Okay, I'm going to start from the top left. So Dominic Treadwell Collins.
Yes.
He's an EP. He's an executive producer.
That is correct. Executive producer from 2013 to 2016. Well done.
Okay. I'm going to skip Maria Evans because I think that might be an answer trap.
Okay.
I'm going to Natalie Mitchell. Natalie. I don't think. Okay, I'm going to skip Natalie Mitchell because I think that's an answer trap too. So the next one then is Irene Raymond.
Yes.
Irene Raymond, who I think is an EastEnders character.
You would be correct. Well done. The character played by Roberta Taylor, introduced in 1997 and then left in the year 2000. Terry's other half.
Yes, she was having an affair with a younger man, if my memory serves me right.
That's the one. Yep. Well
Brian Kirkwood. Mm-hmm. Now, I know he's an executive producer on Hollyoaks.
Yes.
So I believe he may be an executive producer on EastEnders before that. He killed Pat, if my memory serves me correct.
That is correct, Alex. Well done, yes. Brian Kirkwood, executive producer from 2010 to 2012.
Okay. Donnie Yates. Donnie Yates is a character who left while Robbie stared at a doner kebab sign.
Yes, absolutely right. Well done. Donna Yates, played by Lisa Hammond, 2014 to 2018. I miss Donna. Bring Donna back, I say.
Yeah, so do I. She was a great character. And I miss her brother as well, actually.
Yeah.
Corinne Hollingwood. Again, I'm going to skip Corinne Hollingwood.
Okay.
Because I think that might be an answer trap.
Yep.
Hollingworth, sorry. Pop my glasses on. Lorraine Newman. There is a Lorraine.
Yes.
There is a Lorraine. I'm going to say that's a character.
You're going to say that's
Joe's
a character?
mum. From classic EastEnders.
I can reveal that is wrong, but it's not an answer trap. Okay, Lorraine Newman was actually executive producer from 2012 to 2013. She was the executive producer who is known for sort of wanting EastEnders to sort of have love and warmth. That was sort of something about her little era. I think she was a stand-in producer between 2 of the producers, and she's also sort of and she also works on the writing team these days. So executive producer, but not an answer trap.
Oh,
so
okay.
you may continue. So you're still trapless. You may continue.
That's good. I hope if she's on the writing team, she needs to inject some of her love and warmth in the show currently.
Well, she wrote Last Mondays, and she wrote the Ballon Proposal episode. So that's love and warmth on EastEnders with masses of fireworks and all of that sort of thing. So,
Boom for Ballon. John York. John York is a EP, and he's been one twice.
3 times, in fact. Yes, executive producer from 2000 to 2002, and then again in 2005, and then it returned fairly recently in 2018. Carry on.
Fair enough. Steve Thompson, that's DI Steve Thompson, isn't it? I think you dropped the DI deliberately to kind of put me off the scent, as it were. So I'm going to say Steve Thompson is a character from EastEnders.
You know me so well. Yes, DI Steve Thompson, also known to his friends as DI Gaffney. Character played by Phillip Wright in 2019 to 2021. Well done. We're doing very well. Doing very well, Alex. I'm impressed so far.
Now, I know... Yeah, I'm impressed, actually. Now, I know that Morgan is one of Bianca's children, but I'm trying to think if he's a butcher.
Okay. Would I be that underhand, Alex? That's what you need to ask yourself.
Yes. So I'm going to say that's an answer. Oh, no. Oh, no, I think he... But Morgan Butcher. Morgan. I'm going to risk it. Morgan is a character on EastEnders, knowing full well that you are that underhanded.
I mean, just...
But I love you, Rob.
I was going to say, that says a lot about what you think of me, Alex. Of course that's a correct answer. You overthink it massively. Morgan Butcher, correct answer, played by Devin Higgs from 2008 to 2016. Now then, Let me tell you where we're at right now. There are still 2 answer traps on the board and 2 correct answers.
Okay.
So 50-50.
Right. Well, Ian McLeod, I'm fairly sure Ian McLeod is an executive producer.
Mm-hmm.
Or is he? Ian McLeod, the name rings a bell.
Mm-hmm.
But why does it ring a bell?
I don't know. Ah.
The other ones I'm not sure about, and this one I'm slightly sure about. So I'm going to say Ian McLeod is an EP, an executive, or was an executive producer.
Okay. I will reveal Ian McLeod is an executive producer of Coronation Street, I'm afraid. You have just landed yourself in a trap.
I knew I heard that name.
In a trap, yes. Ian McLeod is the current executive producer of Coronation Street. You know, that other soap that we don't really know that well. But yeah, it's apparently something that airs on another channel. Yes, Ian McLeod. So that's one trap down, Alex. So if you find the other trap...
So I skipped Marie Evans. I've skipped Marie Evans. Oh, hang on. Evans would have been Barry and... No, Marie Evans. Marie Evans is a trap. I know it's a trap. Natalie Mitchell. I don't think Natalie was a Mitchell. So that's a trap. So I'm going to say Corinne Hollingworth is the only one I haven't said is an executive producer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you're correct. Colin Hollingsworth is an executive producer from 1995 to 1997. Now then, 1 trap and 1 correct answer on the board. What do you think? Oh, this is exciting. See why I like this show now, Alex?
Yeah. Okay.
You see?
Marie
all week
Evans.
I've been telling Alex I was going to do this, and he's been really sort of despondent. Oh yeah, I saw it. I wasn't that impressed by it. And now he's gripped by it, like I am. Yes, go on. So you got 1 correct answer.
But it's one of those things when you play the game, it's more fun.
Exactly.
But watching it from the outside bubble, well, I suppose I didn't give it enough chance.
No, you didn't. Clearly. Go on.
Marie Evans. I think you've put Evans there. Thinking that I will link it to the Evans, so I think Marie Evans is the answer trap, but I can't remember Natalie Mitch. Why can't I think Natalie Mitch? Natalie. I know Natalie. No, Natalie was married to Barry, had an affair with Ricky. Natalie was never a Mitchell. No, Natalie Mitchell is the answer trap, but I don't know who Marie Evans is, which makes me feel Marie Evans. Oh, it's like. I'm going to say Marie Evans is a character, and Natalie Mitchell is an answer trap because Natalie never married or had any going-ons with the Mitchells.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That is my final answer.
I can reveal, Alex, that Marie Evans is a character.
The answer.
And she's a character on screen at the minute. Marie Evans.
Marie in the cafe!
Who works at the cafe, exactly. She's the only one of the sort of background extra characters, you know, with Tracy, Shrimpy, Winston. She's actually the only one that's ever been given a surname. So, Marie Evans joined in 2003. Trust me, I tried to find... Tracy was the first thought for me to stick in this child, but Tracy's never ever been given a surname. Even though she's been in it from the start, we've never known Tracy's surname. I know, bless her. Give her a surname. We'll give you permission to do that, Mr. Sen. Please, feel free to give Tracy a surname. Natalie Mitchell. Natalie Mitchell is actually one of the current writers. So she was the other answer trap. So there you go. But yeah, I thought the name Mitchell was is a good one to throw in, just to sort of see if it tripped you up. But Alex, I have to admit, I am very, very impressed. Well done, Alex. You have won the game. Well done.
Well, I doffed my cap to you as well, actually, because that was a game.
If you're on video right now, look how pleased he is with himself. Look at him. Look at his little face.
Beaming. But no, honestly, that was a game that for the first time ever, either you or I has been a success all round.
There you go.
Apart from Blockbusters, I think was the only other game where it was a...
Blockbusters I absolutely stormed. Let's not forget that ever. But yes, I'm very impressed, Alex. Well done. How did you get on, listeners? Let us know. And you can also, and you know, if I've given you the answer trap bug, then please feel free to look it up, because it is a good little quiz show. And that, Alex, was Answer Trap. So well done, Alex. I will forever be impressed. That's a gold star. Well done. You can put that in your awards cabinet. Well done. Very very impressed. So we move on now to Zack, Sharon, and the gym opening, and the lovely Kheerat. Now then, I have to say, I enjoyed all of this. It was a bit bonkers in a few places with the whole sort of Zack and Kheerat rivalry, maybe coming a little bit out of left wing in some places. But to be fair, I think it's doing really good. I've got to say, actually, just in general, the past couple of weeks of EastEnders, and this story is another example, I've just really been enjoying it. It feels like it's a bit of a fresh page for quite a lot of characters at the moment, and this is a prime example of it. Sharon feels like she's been taken in a brand new direction. It's refreshed her completely, and Zack is a real genuine, for me, breath of fresh air throughout the entire thing. You know, and I know we said about the whole Martin and Kush thing, and how Cush's miss and how Cush's role has sort of been taken over by Zack. But to be fair, Zack's doing a great job. Because we start the week with... Because last week, when we last left Martin and Zack, Zack had taken him for a pint. And we've all been there. We've all been when we've gone, should we have a drink? And you fall out of a pub at 3 a.m. absolutely annihilated. And the next day, Martin is... Bless him, I think it was to the point where he was genuinely devastated about how hungover he was. It was really funny with, you know, just sort of like, Zack was sort of bouncing around going, yeah, I'm used to this, yeah, I'm not hungover at all, and sort of Sharon taking the mick out of him, and then we cut to Martin, who is literally nearly half dead in the cafe, and Ruby is just sort of glaring at him going, what is wrong with you? This is embarrassing.
Yeah, throwing up in plastic bags in the square
Gorgeous.
Gardens and basically
Gorgeous.
disappointing Ruby in every single way. I mean, Ruby wasn't very happy about Martin being so hungover at all. He basically was meant to be going to a consultation with Ruby this week, and Ruby basically had to go on her own. I mean, quick debate. Was Ruby right to be angry at Martin? Because there was a bit of a split, I felt, with a lot of people. Some people felt Ruby was right to do it. Some people said, no, you know, Martin's within his rights to be a bit free. A lot of people also brought up the fact that Lily still dislikes Ruby. Jean brought it up this week as well to Martin and to Ruby as well. I mean, was Ruby wrong to be upset?
I think that, you know, where Ruby was going, this is quite a serious thing. We can't forget that Ruby is, you know, still currently dealing with her endometriosis diagnosis. Got that right. So it's that's still going on in the background, you know, for Ruby, and I think that's something that she did naturally feel that she wanted Martin there for. So I can kind of understand why, you know, Martin being literally unable to move off the sofa because he was that hungover is probably a little bit of a sort of thing that would stick in her throat about it for a while. So I don't really blame her for that. And as well as that, I know full well that I've said right from the outset, new Lily for me is just sort of like, again, nothing on the actress. They've brought in a great young actress to play Lily, but I'm really struggling with Lily, trying to find any sort of sympathy with her as a character at the moment because she's just such a little car. So, but I understand totally. Like someone on Twitter did say to me this week, you do need to remember that Ruby basically got Stacey sent to prison. That is Ruby's fault, and it's like, yep, fair play. I had forgotten about that. But yeah, so that's going on in the background. We then kind of focus more on Zack for the rest of the week because it is Sharon's official grand opening for the gym this week. I think she's had about 3 sort of fake openings for the gym where she's consumed about as much as champagne as she actually could. You know, I don't know who can blame her. Yeah,
quite a few fake openings for Sharon this past month. She just seems to be opening all the time.
Yeah, quite a few. But now we've got the actual official opening. And she's got herself this... I can't remember what her name was. But so basically some influential woman that is very useful to have there, who's got contacts and who can tell everybody what a great new gym that's opened in Walford. Have we got a name for the new gym yet? Have they come up with a name for the gym yet?
Yes, we have. And I forget what it is. Crunch Time. Yep, the gym is called Crunch Time. With a logo is a dumbbell with the word Crunch Time written underneath. And the PA woman, by the way, her name was Georgina Burns.
Oh, get you.
Oh, yeah.
In EastEnders Wikipedia over here. So Georgina Burns has been invited to the grand opening, and it kind of quickly becomes established that Zack and Kheerat are thoroughly unimpressed by each other. They start sort of jousting until it gets to the point where Kheerat decides to lock Zack in a cupboard. And
yeah,
and it was a bit of an odd thing.
That was really
do.
mad. Did you think that was leading to Zack not liking enclosed spaces because his dad used to lock him in a cupboard kind of situation?
Well, I think that is basically what we got out of it. Because I did think for a minute, I was like, all right, Zack's going really mad here. It feels a bit, but then it's sort of...
No, it wasn't. It was something Kheerat had said to Zack.
Oh, yeah, stop embarrassing yourself, I think is what he said, wasn't it?
That's it.
Which is something that his dad used to say to him, and his mum used to say to him, I think, as well, was the inclination. But basically... Zack eventually, because Sharon's trying to make her grand opening speech, and all she can hear in the background is Zack going, let me out of this cupboard, I'm going to kill him. And Nancy eventually runs to let him out the cupboard, and Zack storms out, charges out, and then punches Kheerat right in the face, in front of the entire opening, in front of Georgina Burns, and the whole thing is an absolute disaster. And Zack then accumulates strike 3 and is out of Sharon's lovely abode. Which, to be fair, I would argue that strike 2 was unfair from Sharon's perspective, because strike 2 was when she was assuming that he had slept with Ruby, and that never happened. So really, he was on strike 2 there. But it does work out well in the end. It does work out well in the end, because Zack explains what happened and why he went so mad, and Sharon lets him stay. So, and I'm quite pleased that was sort of that was fixed so quickly, because I have to admit, I thought the direction it was going in was that he was going to then go and stay at the Vic, because Sharon and Linda reconciled this week, which is really nice to see. There were some really nice scenes between Sharon and Linda. Like, Linda turned up at the gym opening to sort of support her friend, and they seem to have put their feud behind them, which I was really pleased to see.
Yeah, no, I liked that as well. That Michelle as well, maybe that Sharon and Linda are best friends again, or at least on talking terms, and able to talk things out together. Because that friendship was a really nice friendship between them both. You saying about the Zack second strike not being very fair? You have to admit, Zack didn't exactly help the situation by flirting continuously whilst Martin was sat there watching him happening to do it. So, yes, Zack hadn't slept with Ruby, but the fact that he didn't kind of pretend that he hadn't either. He was like, well, not pretend, but, kind of shown that he hadn't. Zack's 3 strikes were there. But, yeah, I mean, it was peril that wasn't really there between Sharon and Zack, because we all knew they wouldn't introduce a new character and then have him gone a month later. I suppose the same perils they had with Terry Cant leaving and comes back 1 week later. But it was nice. The friendship between Zack and Sharon is one I really enjoy too. Like them, they are very brotherly and sisterly, like when they had that chat with a cup of tea and they were kind of talking to each other about their day. I really, really enjoyed it. Again, real kitchen sink stuff, which has been sorely missed on EastEnders, and because it's now being integrated into it, it felt like a brand new show almost, or the old show that we miss a lot of. And as you say, the last 2 weeks has been really great for that as well. But yeah, I mean, Kheerat's plan wasn't the best of plans, let's be honest with you. Kind of lock someone in a cupboard, then turn the music up and hope that no one hears.
Though? I don't understand what he was even planning to do. Was he just thinking that Zack was just going to stay quiet throughout the entire thing, and then Kheerat will let him out the cupboard and go, well, I hope you've learnt your lesson. I'm the king. And then just left it at that. But that didn't quite happen. But yeah, no, I agree with you. And it seemed actually Zack and Sharon have a lot more in common. I think the thing is that Sharon sees quite a bit of herself in Zack, because Sharon's got her, reams and reams, and if you were to write all of Sharon's love stories and problems and conquest down, you'd destroy half a forest on the paper that you'd need to write down all of Sharon's love disasters over the years. So I think that she sees quite a lot of herself in Zack, and they're able to sort of share those stories. Like when Zack was explaining that he was with a girl one time, and her nan walked in, who also happened to be his old maths teacher, and all of this kind of thing. And you're right, it is. Yes, it is those sorts of. I've been there, I tell you. But it's one of those. one of those really nice things where it is, like you say, just two people just sitting down having a conversation and a conversation that's really fun to watch as well, rather than just a scene that doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. It's a scene that's literally just there to sort of develop their relationship. And yeah, you're right, those sorts of scenes have been really missing from the show recently. So it is really nice that they're sort of focusing on building relationships up, so it doesn't feel that characters are being forced together for no reason. It feels like there's an actual genuine reason why they would want to spend time together. So it's nice. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. Me too. Sharon's been getting quite a lot from Kheerat this week. They're not really hiding behind the fact that they've been having a lot of sex. But unfortunately, this has been a problem for Suki, not just because obviously she doesn't want Kheerat involved with Sharon, but Suki also found out this week that her other son, who's in prison, Mr. Jags Panasar, is in a lot of trouble. I mean, how does Jags get himself in trouble everywhere he goes? Like, now he's getting death threats in prison unless she pays this £100,000 in order to get him saved. And so she's going from pillar to post to try to find money. She even showed a weak stance against Phil Mitchell. Obviously, that was going to happen at some point, you know. And but Kheerat doesn't seem very concerned about, you know, Suki's panic.
No, I mean, yeah. There's a few things we need to discuss with the Suki storyline this week. For a start, we had the triumphant return of Mad Stacks / Stan the Russian, who I laughed a lot when he sort of strode onto screen. I was like, as if you brought him back. It's like Dominic Cummings sort of appearing out of the woodwork and suddenly the villain that you thought had gone and is now returning and causing more trouble. It's brilliant. It's for anybody outside the UK, Dominic Cummings is a politician that's been causing a few issues recently.
He's not a politician.
No, he's not a politician anymore. But anyway.
No, that's the trouble.
Crazy Stan. I mean, let's just briefly discuss Stan. Yeah, Suki basically gets in contact with him because she needs this £100,000 to protect Jags, who, and I quote, "You know what your brother is like. He's always running his mouth off." I've got to say, I don't really remember that character trait of Jags. If anything, he was the least likely of any of the Panasars to run their mouth off. But hey, you know, he's in prison now, and this new slim, svelte Jags could be a completely different beast to the one that we knew on the square. He rings, so Suki rings up Mad Stan, and he arrives at the Suki mark, and essentially starts, you know, giving Suki attitudes and all that sort of thing. Implies that he's going to go walk off with a packet of crisps. Because he's a big hard man like that. And Suki gives him, you know, the opportunity to sort of do a bit of money laundering and all this sort of thing because Suki needs this money. Kheerat walks in on these two sort of maybe coming to the conclusion of their deal. Suki's nearly got it in the bag and essentially sends Stan packing. Stan doesn't like having his time wasted and says, "You know what? I will do anything." Now, bear in mind, the last time we saw Stan, he tried to blow up the arches with himself in it. Yes, that is slightly psychopathic and suggests somebody that shouldn't be messed with. However, this Stan, his response to "I could do anything" is to slam a packet of crisps against his head and then leave the shop with a bottle of vodka, waving it in their faces and walk away. Ooh, scary. Really hard, man. This guy is hilarious.
No, I mean, this was a very much a toned down Staz, and one that even toned down wound me up something curious. I mean, I know that you think it's funny, but I don't know. It's so such funny. A lovely week we had.
I think Stan
which is such a lovely week, and then to have that scene.
He's up there with Evie in terms of sort of. I mean, I liked Evie for different reasons, but you know, this sort of character that is supposed to be so intimidating, but you know, it's like when Evie was handing out fried chicken at her discretion. You know, this guy who was just sort of come along and is just so like he just looks like some little scrote, and we were supposed to believe that Stan is like the head of some like huge money laundering deal that's going on in London, and you know, it's the one to call if you need it, but like the one not to call because he's really scary and intimidating and might bang a packet of crisps into his head. It's just really, really funny. But yeah, essentially ignoring all of that, I don't know if we'll see him again. I deep down hope we will, in all honesty. I really do. But yeah, essentially, oh, and I've got a bone to pick with you as well. The end of Friday's episode, where we find out exactly what Jags is doing. I need to ask you for a start, has Kheerat received a duff duff yet? I'm pretty sure he has.
I couldn't say off the top of my head. Why do you ask?
I ask because Suki hasn't got a duff duff yet under her belt, and I'm not having your boy nicking my girl's duff duffs. That's the thing.
I see what happened there. Yeah, they cut from Suki having the duff duff, and
duff
right at the very last second it went to Kheerat.
Suki should have got her duff duff on Friday's episode, and it was
a
swiped
dookie.
away from
You
her.
needed a dookie.
A duke. That's what we should have got on Friday, and we never got it, and I'm unimpressed.
A dookie panic.
Yes, Suki remains duff duffless, and I'm not happy about it.
Hashtag Suki needs a dookie. I mean, if she hasn't had one, then that is terribly unfair.
It is. I mean, if it was Kheerat's first one, then fair play. But I'm fairly sure that Kheerat has at least one duff duff under his belt. So yes, let's talk about because I really liked the fact that we got basically a Suki storyline this week, because we all know our love for Suki on the podcast, and it was another layer to her which we've been wanting to see for ages. It was interesting to see how desperate she was becoming. Like the fact that she went to Phil. I love the fact that she just walked straight into Phil's house. She's got no shame. I adore her. No shame whatsoever. Just walked straight into Phil's house and said, "Right, I need 100 grand, and I need you to give it to me now, please." And Phil's like, "All right, love. So I'll be taking 50% of anything that you 50% interest on top of that as well, please."
Well, yeah, again, interest on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's another example of Phil just having apparently an endless supply of cash that he will just hand out willingly to anybody who needs it, as long as it's. Where has he got 100 grand from? I want to know where Phil keeps his money, because most of the time, whenever we look in the Mitchell,
he keeps it in all kinds of places.
Or maybe there's like one bundle that he'll grab out for storyline purposes and hand over to somebody. But I want to know how rich Phil Mitchell is, because if all the money that he's handed out over the years is anything to go by, he should be a multi-millionaire by this point.
Do you think that it was a shame to weaken Suki like this? I don't mind if they weaken Suki a little bit, like when Ash had a go at her in the Vic, and also later in the week when Kheerat was kind of like, you've messed up with our deal with Staz now, because if he finds out about the gold bars, he's going to kill us. But when there was, I just feel like they had to make Phil still be the Lord of the Square, and they did that by weakening the one character who perhaps could confront him or has confronted him, and that was Suki. And so I felt a bit like, why did you do that?
I know what you mean. I think the scene with Phil was, I think what basically the idea was, it's supposed to point out how desperate Suki is becoming, and I think actually what it was also doing was sort of highlighting exactly how much Suki regrets what she did to Jags. That she knows that what she did was wrong. She had her own sort of warped reasons for doing what she did. But there is an element of regret there. She is not happy about the fact, and almost she's sort of trying to repay him in this respect by visiting him often in prison and saying, right, I'll sort this 100 grand out. Of course I would. And actually, I believe that she genuinely wants to sort out this 100 grand, and I feel that she is feeling guilty about it. And again, it's just another example of us feeling like we're getting slightly more off Suki rather than just I'm the bitch of the square, which is what we've been needing off her for quite a while. It gives her that little bit more sort of character. But yeah, so where do we think it's going to go from now? Is she going to be able to get this 100 grand? Where is she going to get it from? Is the big question, I think.
I don't know, really. I think they'll have to do something to save Jags, because I guess we need to keep Jags alive. I don't know, really. I mean, again, this is almost like the Max Branning story again, isn't it? It's like now Max has left the square and more stories are happening for him. Now Jags has left the square. He's had the biggest storyline he ever had when he was on there for the year that he was there. Ever. So, I mean, I suppose they need to keep Jags alive so she'll find a way, but by what means will she find a way? Obviously, I feel like they're just integrating. You say, will we see Staz again? I think we will see Staz again. Obviously, we're meant to be like, ooh, it's Staz. But in actual fact, we're all like, oh, God, it's Staz. So
Not at all.
Time will tell, I suppose.
Woo,
but as you say, it's nice to see the Panasars on screen. We love seeing the Panasars on screen. We especially love seeing Suki on screen.
Yes,
and to be honest with you, I'm more interested in the love relationship of Karen, as I'm now calling it, or Kheerat. Choose one of the two. I'm happy with her.
I think Kheerat might be easier. Shiraz. There you go. Fine wine.
Shiraz.
There you go.
Shiraz.
Perfect.
And she likes
Shiraz.
wine, so, you know,
Exactly.
easy peasy.
So hashtag Shiraz.
We're going to run through a couple of stories really quickly now. One of them is that Kat and Phil's relationship is blossoming. And Kat wanted Phil to know that, you know, she does not need his help to look after her children. Even though Jean kind of said that all other men that she's been with does want to take an interest in the kids, Kat seems more interested on Phil taking a step back and not kind of buying them with love and Xboxes and and video games. And we know that Phil is quite a dab hand at making cheesy beans jacket potato. So that's good to know.
This, honestly, like, I feel like I should be absolutely hating this sort of Kat and Phil thing. And it really annoys me that I absolutely love them together. It really, really, really works. Because on the surface, let's be fair, it feels like they've pulled two names out of a hat and decided that these two are now in a relationship. And yet, there is, I mean, maybe it's testament to Jesse Wallace and Steve McFadden's natural sort of acting and how good they are and how they can make most storylines like just completely work, whether, you know, whatever they are. But they are really working together, and I like the fact that they have actually taken the time. You know what my issues were with, say, the Jack and Denise relationship, for example, where it just sort of felt like they were just been put together, and oh right, okay, you're madly in love with each other, and we don't really explore sort of the inner workings of their relationship all that much. They're just sort of, they are a couple, and that's thing. But I feel like with Kat and Phil, we're really sort of exploring, like, they seem as surprised as we are by it, which I think actually really works, because both of them are as surprised as they are as to how they feel, and they're sort of laying, like, okay, so I guess we're here. Like, Kat is like, okay, so I guess we're here then, so I guess, like, the next step is for us to lay ground rules, and Phil is doing the natural thing that he does. I think the problem with Phil is now that he is doing what we've seen with Phil for, like, you know, how he did with Denny. He's going to see the kids and sort of think, right, well, I'm the dad role now, so yeah, there's an Xbox, there's, you know, I'm going to, and, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with, you know, the likes of Tommy's dyslexia, and, you know, that's what he's now got to take on board. He's got to be aware that he's now letting himself enter sort of the madness of the Slater family. And he's got to take all that on board. He can't just sort of, like, take the bits and everything. Like, there is, you know, there are about 106 kids in the Slater family, so he needs to, like, give each one his attention. And I think that was Kat's main concern. But it's mad. It's absolutely mad. And he's joking so much more as well. Yeah. This era for Phil is just absolutely mad. Like, when he was sat there doing, oh yeah, I have gotten the jacket potato and the cheese. I was like, what am I watching, Phil? Like, where did you get this sense of humour from? This is absolutely mad. But the power of Kat.
I know, it's absolutely crazy. But yeah. I mean, it's as you say, it's two characters that seemingly was spun on a wheel. It was like, right, Kat and Phil, that's what we're going to do. Yeah. At first, I wasn't on board with it, and I didn't, you know, hide behind it. I didn't. But actually, yes, I'm growing to it, and I get it, and I understand it now, and I do see good stories with him, and it's nice to have him out of a kind of like shenanigans scenario for a change, and also just out of being a Mitchell. Do you know what I mean? When he's with Kat, he is just a different person, as you say. And at first, I didn't think he was going to get on with the kids very well. He has softened. She has softened him. Not in all ways, but softened him in other ways. And he's just I don't know. I'd be interested to know if this is a long-term thing or whether this is just a kind of a flash in the pan. But it's nice also that Kat is staying, because another thing I don't like is when Phil Mitchell starts getting involved with a woman, that woman slowly starts becoming more and more and more under his thumb. And we've seen it with Sharon, we saw it with Mel, we saw it with, you know, so many different women who he's married or been with, and I didn't want that to happen with Kat, because Kat has always been very strong-minded, and I'm glad that she had that talk this week where she said, the Slaters cannot be bought. Others have tried, and you know, we will not accept it. And you know, just love me for who I am. I'll love you for who you are. And, you know, we'll go from there. So yeah, I am enjoying it. I just don't know what the long term for this is. Really, I can't really see it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I feel like they're putting too much effort in for them not to, I think they're putting these two in for the long haul together. Because again, it's an example. It's what we were saying. It's what we've been saying for ages about the fact that the whole Phil and Sharon thing has just sort of been on rinse and repeat for years and years and years, and they are now taking them both in completely different directions. There will inevitably be a sort of Phil and Sharon, thing at some point. I think we're yet to really. And what I'm looking forward to, and I think we might get it, is sort of the scene between Sharon and Kat, where we talk about those two characters and sort of see how they're going to sort of be around each other. Because I think that it would actually do Kat a lot of good to sort of sit down with Sharon and go, right, what am I doing? What have I got myself into here exactly? Because I agree with you when it's, I don't want to see Kat go in the same direction where they're sort of under the thumb and watered down versions of themselves to accommodate the fact that Phil is now the other half of their character. So it's going to be interesting to see how Kat reacts to all this. But I think, to be honest, so far, Kat seems to still have for want of a better phrase, still have the trousers on, if that makes sense. I mean, metaphorical.
It does make sense.
It does. Physical trousers.
Not the leopard skin skirt. She's got the leopard skin skirt on, I suppose.
That's off and on the stairs somewhere, on the landing floor somewhere. As always.
Not in front of the kids, though. They're busy with the Xbox and jacket potatoes. One final story, and this is a very quick one, is it was Kim's birthday this week, and to celebrate she decided to find love, and she did find love in the form of Dwayne. I love Dwayne. I love the name Dwayne. But Chelsea was on the scene and she recognised Dwayne straight away. And
Chelsea's
at first I thought, was that an ex-drug dealer? Are we doing this path again? Yep, she's back. But no, Chelsea knows he's a bit of a womanizer. And in order to prove to Kim that he is, she went on a date with him at Ruby's when he was meant to be meeting up with Kim. And then he sent Kim a text while Kim was literally sat next to him. Like, bing, bing. Oh, hello.
Oh.
And so, she recognised it.
But to be fair, it was nice. It was nice to sort of establish that sort of relationship between Kim and Chelsea, and for Chelsea to actually have scenes and to sort of point out, she does have a reason to be here. Trust us, it's her turn. I promise you. But actually, I think the main point of this story is that what we saw on screen is actually can be spoken about quite quickly about the fact that basically, something we've seen before, where two girls of the same family are screwed over by a guy and deal with him together, and the man is sent off with his tail between his legs, and brilliant, thank you very much. However, what we also got this week was an indication that there might potentially be some Gray and Chelsea scenes coming up, because they clearly caught each other's eye.
Yes.
Now, I've been worried about Gray this week. He wasn't in it for a huge amount this week. It's not like there was any particular focus on Gray as a character for this week. But we've been speaking for a little while about who Gray's potential next victim might be. And it wasn't until this week that I felt that there was some actual indications of which direction they might go in. I'm not going to lie, I am very worried about Kheerat. I feel like, the fact that after what happened with Kush, I feel like anything could happen. So I think Kheerat is in danger. And out of nowhere now, Chelsea is in danger. And Whitney, obviously, is in danger. So I think, obviously there's presumably going to be some more development between Gray and Chelsea. Those two names don't feel right in my mouth together. Gray and Chelsea. But in all honesty, you can sort of see why Gray and Chelsea might sort of be attracted to each other, because from what we got from when Chelsea was with Caleb, the general, she is sort of pulled in. She is sort of maybe naturally pulled into these slightly controlling relationships.
Yeah.
So I don't think it'll feel like unfamiliar territory to Chelsea, and the question remains whether, if they do decide to go down that path, and it feels like they are, whether she will recognise the signs and go, actually, no, seen this before, goodbye, or whether she'll sort of slip naturally into the sort of more submissive state. So, yeah, that remains to be seen, but worrying.
Yeah, I forgot about the little glance at each other between Gray and Chelsea. They've introduced a wonderful actress yet again in the form of Chelsea, and Whitney, great actress. It'd be interesting if there's like a love triangle between them or something. And I don't know, would that work well with the current state of where Gray's story is heading?
I mean, the thing is, it can't be. You can't forget that to the majority of to all of the square, apart from Kheerat, Gray is now single, very devastatingly good looking.
Yeah.
And remember, he is supposed to the image he gives is of, you know, the best husband the world has ever seen. And to the most of the square, that image still remains. The fact that we've seen him killing people left, right and centre is irrelevant, you know. And to someone like Chelsea and to someone like, you know, to the girls of the square, Gray is fresh meat and now available. He's got kids, hey ho, who hasn't these days? So I think it's going to be
like Kim's kids. They can be packaged off.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to be interesting to sort of see Gray realise that he's now, I'm a single bloke. I've got the world at my disposal, and the girls of the square sort of now he's had a bit of time to go over Chantel. You know, they can sort of make their move. So it seems that I think you might be right, but I think it's more about who Gray chooses as, well, essentially his next victim. In more ways than one than the sort of love triangle thing, but we'll see.
Time will tell. That's it. That's the week wrapped up. But stay listening or watching if you're watching the video on YouTube, because we have your comments that you sent to us on our Twitter, Instagram, and your emails on I Ain't One to Gossip.
You know me, I ain't one to gossip.
Now, Rob, last week we had quite a big debate between you and me. Yes. We debated whether Martin Fowler still works.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
And you were saying that he does still work on there. I said, I'm not sure. I don't think he does. We had 2 emails this week telling us exactly what the situation is.
Please,
so here we go.
The
first one. The first one is from Alison. Thank you so much for getting in touch, Alison. And it reads, hey guys, Martin did quit the stall and went to work for Ruby. Peter was on the stall for a minute and then he quit as well. There was recently one reference Kathy made to Bobby running the stall, which was weird. When Martin came back and had that scene with Tiff and Keegan, it seemed like he was on the stall. I actually watched it back a couple of times and he may have just been walking past it. Regardless, the fruit and veg stall I'll start again. Regardless, the fruit and veg stall has been in several scenes totally unmanned. This has been making me nuts. So Alison still doesn't, that doesn't really answer the question either, Alison. So then another email came in from Jeff. I mean, this is CSI standard now.
Really is. We need some charts
we're
on the
really
wall.
getting into this. We do. We need to do an Isaac. We need to get an Isaac wall chart behind me. Jeff Arnold got in touch. Again, thank you, Jeff, for getting in touch on our email. Details at the end of the show how you can get in touch. He says, hi to you both. I enjoyed last week's podcast as usual. Yes, you're right. Martin did stop working on the market stall. There was a great big scene some months ago where he made a big thing of this, but he's obviously now forgotten. I assume in her work at the council, Denise has implemented some sort of post-COVID job creation scheme to the people back into the familiar environments they worked in, as we also saw Ben recently working back in the Archers. So again, it's not really answered, is it? Does Martin work on the fruit and veg stall? No,
I feel like
we don't know.
I feel like he should be doing.
We still don't know.
It feels like the place where Martin should be. It feels like I'm fine if they just decide to forget about when Martin quit and just sort of leave him on the because he's got to get his money from somewhere. And I know he's supposed to be working for Ruby, but we've not really seen what he's done working for Ruby. He doesn't work behind the bar. We've not really seen him as a bouncer or any sort of admin or a cleaner or anything. He doesn't do anything at Ruby, so they may as well just put him back on the market because it's Martin's space. You know what I mean? He's been there for years and years and years, and it feels like apples and bananas are in his veins. He needs to be standing straight back on. He needs to be back there. So sort it out, please, because we need a definitive answer. I need to be right, and he needs to be there. So sort that out, please. Thank you.
Yeah, because let's be honest, right now I am the right one because no one really thinks Martin works on the stall, but we don't have a definitive answer just yet. If anyone can give us that definitive answer, please do get in touch with us.
So yes, please do feel free to get in touch with us. You can contact us on Twitter, Instagram at Walford Weekly. You can find us on Facebook at Walford Weekly Podcast. On YouTube, please don't forget to like, subscribe and click the bell to get notifications about our spoiler videos. And you can listen to us on Apple, Podbean, Spotify or any of your favourite podcast sites. And now you can watch us. You can please feel free to take a look at the Patreon site, patreon.com/Walford Weekly. We would greatly appreciate any help that you feel that you can give us. And please do feel free to drop either of us an email on robwalfordweekly@gmail.com or alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com. We will be back next week, same time, same place. on camera and seeing each other, and the fact you can see our lovely faces now, what is there not to like? So it's goodbye from me.
And it is goodbye from myself. Have a great week.